In this section, I'm going to provide a project walkthrough for you. I will show you how our demo application works on the front end and how it can be configured on the back end as an admin. We are using the Laravel framework version 8 for our demo application. However, we are not using anything Laravel specific in our integration. We are only using the official SDKs provided by PayPal, Stripe, and Braintree, so it should not be hard to implement or to use our implementation in your project as well, even if it's not a Laravel project. When we arrive at the payment integration in the course, then I will go line by line in our source code, so you will see exactly what is happening when we integrate these payment gateways. However, now in this section, I'm going to show you how the project works, how it is set up, and I'm not going to go into the code because it is just sort of the outer shell of the whole project, and it doesn't have anything to do with the payment integration. I will show you the front end of our demo application, so what a customer sees or how the demo application functions for the customers themselves. Let's first log in with our member details. So actually you see this welcome page if you hit the localhost/Laravel payment starter route. Then this is what you see. Of course, there is some information about how to migrate and see the database, but we already did this when we set up the project, and there is also the admin login details. However, we also have a fake member, so to say, and the member email address is member@gmail.com, and the password is 12341234, so the same as for the password for the admin. So let me just log in as a member. So member@gmail.com, 1234. I'm logging in and I am at my dashboard. So this is the member dashboard. So the route here is Laravel payment starter /member/dashboard. Later I will talk more about the routes and which controller takes care of which request or which route. So you see that we are welcoming the member by echoing out or showing the email address of the member, and there is this your courses table where the member can see which are the courses that they already paid for. So as you can see, our member paid for the English beginner course, the German beginner course, and the German pre-intermediate course. You see how much these courses cost for our member when these courses were purchased, and the member can go to a course. Now in the header, you see after you log in, you have this dashboard, and if you click on it, you come back to the same dashboard. And we have a course list in the header, courses list, and we also have the home. So if I click on home, I'm coming back to this welcome page. If I click on courses, however, I will hit the Laravel payment starter /courses route, and you will see a list of all these dummy courses that we have in our database. As you can see, there is also pagination included. So I can just paginate and I will arrive at the German advanced course. As you can see, each course has a go to course button. Let's click on it. And as you can see, there is the name of the course. There is this dummy description for the course, and there is the price of the course and a buy now button. Now, if you click on the buy now button, you will be directed to the checkout. However, first, I would like to navigate back. So actually go back to the courses list. And if you remember, our member here is associated with this English beginner course already. So the member already bought this course. And if I click on go to course, you see that I don't see how much this course costs because I see the message instead, you have access to this course. If I go back to my dashboard and if I click on go to course, so this is the English beginner course, and if I click on go to this course, then I arrive at the same page. However, what we're going to do is to go back to the courses list and search for the German intermediate course, click on go to course. This course costs $555.55, and I will click on buy now, so I will be redirected to the checkout where I can make a sandbox payment and buy this course. Now obviously these courses are not real courses, so it's just some fake data that we made. The important thing is to integrate the payment gateways, and it's not a learning management system, so not a fully functional learning management system. So what is important for us is that we will be navigated to the checkout where we can buy this fake course. So let's do that. Now here is the checkout page. On the left side of the checkout, you see the contact information that has to be provided to buy the course, and also the billing address information that has to be provided to buy the course. Now the phone field and the apartment suite field are not compulsory. However, all the other fields are compulsory and have to be provided before making a payment. There is the checkout and payment section on the right side of the checkout, where you can see the product that is to be bought, so the course that is to be bought, and the price of the course. Below this checkout and payment section, there is the payment method section, where the customer can choose a payment method. Now, you can only enable Braintree, for example, or you can enable Braintree and PayPal but disable Stripe. However, for this example video, I have all three enabled, and I will click on each of them. So you see that now I can pay with credit card, and I will use the Braintree gateway. Or I can pay with credit card and I could use Stripe. Or I can use PayPal and I can use the PayPal smart buttons. Now I can use my PayPal account to pay, or I can use a debit or credit card to pay. Based on your location, you might see more of these buttons, however. So, for example, if you are in Germany, then I think you should see the Sofort payment button here. Below the payment methods, there is this red square, and basically this is just a checkbox here that has to be clicked before the payment can be started. So here we are forcing the customer to accept or to agree to the terms and conditions and accept the privacy policy. And if you noticed, if the checkbox is not checked, then this square will be red. However, if it's checked, then it will be green, so the payment can be started. There is also a fill-in dummy info button on the checkout page, and if you click on it, then the contact info and the billing address will automatically be filled in. Okay, so it's working well. Now, as you can see, we fill in the phone and the apartment information as well. But what is important that all the fields are filled in, and they are filled in correctly. So if you want to test your payment integration, you can just click on this button, and then you don't have to fill in all these fields manually by yourself. Let me just refresh this page. And as you can see, the email address is already populated. Now, in our demo application, only the registered and logged in users can reach the checkout, so only these users could hit this route that you see here. And because we know the email address that the users are registered with, we automatically populate this email address field here, and we made this field read-only. However, let me fill in the fields with dummy info again, and let me make a Stripe payment. Now, I will click on this credit card by Stripe, and then you see the Stripe fields. So I will need a card number, an expiration date, and the CVC number. I will actually show you 3DS2 workflow, so there will be some kind of fake authentication that Stripe will require before they could process the payment. And in order to get the necessary data for it, so the necessary test card number, I have to navigate to this URL. So this is an official Stripe GitHub repository. Later on in the course, we will come back to this repository. However, now what is important that we have this test card number here, and I can just copy this. And this test card number is good because after we try to pay with it, pop-up model will be displayed to authenticate. Now, of course, this is just a mock pop-up model that you can see here. And this is sort of what you see when the 3D secure workflow is active and when additional authentication is needed for the customer before the payment could be processed. So I already copied this test card number. Let's go back to the checkout. Let me just paste it here, and Actually, it doesn't matter what you put here as expiration, but it has to be in the future, and the CVC number can be only 1, 2, 3. Now, I will not check this box first, and you see that the payment flow will not start. I will click to complete purchase. However, the terms and conditions and privacy policy must be accepted before payment. At least this is the message that the customer sees if they don't accept or if they don't check this box. So let's check it, and let's click on the button again, and then the Stripe flow or payment flow will start. So let's click to complete purchase. We show a spinner to the customer. And yes, this is the 3D Secure 2 test page, or this is this model window that comes up. So here you can just choose between failing this authentication or completing it. But if you read the text, then you see that in live mode, customers will be asked to verify their identity with a push notification, a text message, or another method chosen by their bank. Now, Braintree has the same solution. So with a fake Braintree payment, we would also see a pop-up model that would be similar to this one. However, PayPal should take care of the 3D secure authentication by itself, so no pop-up model will be shown. However, if you're using Stripe or Braintree, then you have to manually implement the 3D Secure integration into your Stripe or Braintree integration. And of course, this is the integration that we have in this demo application. So you only have to follow through the course. Now let's complete the payment. So let's say that this authentication was successful, and then you will see how the payment is processed on our side. So we complete the payment. Now Stripe is thinking, and yeah, there was this pop-up model that appeared only for a split second. Now it was from our backend. So actually, this is when we create the order for the customer and when we associate the customer with the course that they bought. And if the payment was successful, then the order confirmation page is shown to the customer. We thank the customer for the purchase, and there is a link to the dashboard. So let's go to our dashboard. And as you can see, the German intermediate course appeared on our dashboard. So it was bought for $555.55, and it was purchased on the 31st of January 2021. And if I click on Go to Course, then you see that we don't see the price, but we see this, you have access to this course text because we bought the course. And this is actually the customer experience in our demo application. So next, I will show you how the admin dashboard works. I'm going to show you how the admin dashboard of our demo application works. So let me log out because I'm logged in as a member, and let me use these credentials to log in as an admin. So I click on login, and I am admin@gmail.com. Password is 1234. Click on login, and I'm already in the admin dashboard. In the dashboard, you can see how many members this demo application has, how many courses were created in this demo application, the total sales. So you see how many courses, not how many courses were sold, but for how much the courses were sold in total and how many orders were made in total. So these $2,370.55 were made by a total of 10 orders. We have this nice sidebar here. So let's navigate from the dashboard to the course management, and let's go to the courses menu. As you can see, we arrived at the Laravel payment starter /admin/courses route. Later, I will talk to you about routes and which controller is associated with which route. So this is something Laravel specific. I just want to show you all the capabilities of our test project or demo project. So as you can see, this is just a list of the courses we have. So this is the course ID, the title of the course, the description of the course, the price of the course, the date when the course was created. Now, of course, I seeded everything on the 31st of January. So this is why you see this date here. And we can edit, delete, or view a course. Now, before we move on to these actions, I want to show you that, of course, we have some basic pagination for this course's index page. So if you click on 2, you see that we will have this nice query string that the page is 2. And then you see that the course with the ID 1 is here on this second page and not on the first page. But let's get back to the first page now. And if you click on View Course, then we will come back to this front-end page. We saw this, not exactly this page, but a very similar page. So you see that this is the price of the course, and there is the Buy Now button. So the customer can buy this course. Now I'm logged in as an admin. However, normally, an admin would not be able to buy a course because an admin should have access to all the courses. But this demo project is made in a way that as an admin, you can buy a course as many times as you want. So a member should not be able to buy the course more than once. However, as an admin, you can buy a course as many times as you need. It is just a way to make testing the payment integrations easier. But let's go back to the admin now. We can click on deleting the course. So let me close this. I will click on delete, and the course has been deleted. As you can see, we have a confirmation message. The course with the following ID has been successfully deleted. And as you can see, there is no pagination now because we paginate every 5 courses, and we only have 5 courses now in our backend. So if I click on refresh, you will not see this message because this is a flash message that should only be shown after the deletion was successful and we were redirected. But the next request should not contain this message. So I refresh, and yes, indeed, you see that the course disappeared. Now, before editing a course, I would like to create a new course. And here's the information that I have to provide for the course: a title, a description, a cover image, and a course price. Now, the cover image is not necessary for the course. So I will just provide the description, the course price now. And actually, you will see that the course will not be saved because I didn't provide a course title. So that's description. I will not provide a cover image for the course, but basically you can just click on browse and you can select a picture or an image, and then you can just upload it. And the course price will be 100. Okay, now I click on save and we will fail the validation. Yes, the course title field is required. So if you don't provide a course title, then the course will not be saved. And actually this course title has to be unique. Okay, so test course January, let's say. And now I click on save, and you see that test course January appeared with the ID of 7, and the course has been successfully created. I mean, we received this message, and if I click on refresh, then this message disappears, and I can actually edit the course. So I click on edit, and I can just say misclick. So I can just say test course January 2, test description 2, and the price of the course should be 200. So I click on save, and the price is now 200. The course has been successfully updated, and you see that the test description and the test title were both updated. Let's move on now to the user management. I will tell you about the payment management after the users and order management have been talked about. So users management, users. So as you can see, this is just a list of users that we seeded in with our database. And here we don't even have the option to add new users. There is just the pagination for the currently available users. As you see, the admin user is the first one here. And then we have this super new member at gmail.com. Obviously, these are all just fake users with fake data. And if you want, you can delete them. And you will see the message that the user with the following ID has been successfully deleted. And indeed, there is no user with the ID of 5, but this user's management is really not much. So for the demo application, actually, you just need the admin account to be able to get into the admin dashboard, and the member account to see how it works, how the front end works. However, actually you can try out everything even with the admin account. So believe me that these two accounts are more than enough for this course for us. Let's go now to the orders management. And we have these orders. Now we have this orders index page, so we cannot create a new order in this demo application. And as you can see, we have the pagination here as well. We can delete the orders like the user or the course. Let's delete this order actually. So the order with the following ID has been successfully deleted. So order with ID 9 was deleted. And indeed, you see that there is no order with the ID of 9 now. If I refresh, then this flash message will disappear. And there is some order data that we will actually save into the database when a customer makes a purchase or when we make a test purchase, even with the admin account. So there is a transaction ID. Now you see that this transaction 8, 7, 6, whatever, this is dummy data. However, this is an actual test transaction, and based on the transaction ID, I can tell you that it is a Stripe test transaction. There is a customer. There is the customer name. There's the customer ID. There's the customer name, the email, the price of the course that was bought, the ID of the course that was bought, and the title of the course that was bought, the date when the course was bought, or when this order was created, and the actions is the only action we have available is to delete, and I already deleted the order with the ID of 9. So I think we are finished with the orders management, and finally we can go to the payment management. And let's go to the braintree menu item first. So before you want to try out our integrations, or before you want to make a test purchase, you have to make sure that the credentials are provided on the braintree page, if you want to use braintree, of course. Now you can select the sandbox and production environment. However, in this demo application, I will only use the sandbox environment. And if you want to use the sandbox environment as well, which you should, then you have to provide your sandbox merchant ID, sandbox public key, and sandbox private key. However, if you want to try out the integration in production as well, or later, then you should provide the production merchant ID, production public key, and the production private key in these fields. And of course, you have to save your changes. Don't worry, because later in the course I will show you how you can get these credentials even if you don't have any experience with Braintree. But of course I will not change my environment to production, so I will not save anything. But let's go to the Stripe menu item. So the same thing happens here. You have to select the test or the live environment for your Stripe integration. I strongly suggest that you will try out your integration in the test environment. And you have to provide the test publishable key and the test secret key. Of course, if you want to try Stripe out in a live mode, then you have to select live here, and you have to provide your live publishable key and your live secret key. Don't worry, of course, if you don't have an idea what these things are, because later in the course I will show you how you can register a Stripe account and how you can get the keys that are needed for our Stripe integration. But let's move on to PayPal now. Similarly to Braintree and Stripe, you have to choose between a sandbox and a production environment for your PayPal Smart Buttons. And if you are using the sandbox, then you have to provide your PayPal Sandbox Client ID and PayPal Production Client ID, PayPal Sandbox Client ID and PayPal Sandbox Secret. But if you're in production mode, then of course you have to set this to production, and you have to provide the Production Client ID and the Production Secret. And of course, I will show you how you can get all these data if you want to integrate PayPal into your application. Later in the course, of course, I will talk about this issue, but actually, in case of PayPal, we will have sort of two separate integrations. So first, we will go for the easier client-side integration, so to say. So we will only use JavaScript to integrate the PayPal Smart Buttons. And for that, you actually only need the PayPal Sandbox Client ID, and you don't even need the Sandbox Secret. However, later in the course, we will have a another version of the PayPal Smart Button integration, and it will be a safer, better, and a bit more complicated integration for which you will need your PayPal Sandbox secret. But don't worry, of course, I will show you how you can register for a PayPal developer account and how you can get all these data later in the course. Now let's move on to the settings menu item. So this is actually the last menu item in the admin dashboard. And actually these are the checkout settings. So these fields are the fields for customizing your checkout experience a bit. And these fields are the payment gateway settings fields. So these are the fields where you can enable the payment gateways and disable the payment gateways. But let's first check these payment settings. You can select a currency that will be used on the front end. Now, in the case of Braintree, actually the currency will come from your Braintree account, but in the case of Stripe and PayPal integrations, the currency in which the customer will be charged for will come from this setting actually. So if you set euro here, then the customer will be charged in euros. But of course, even if you are only interested in the Braintree integration, then you should make sure that the currency that you set here in the demo application is the same as the one that you use in your Braintree merchant account. But of course, later we will check what a Braintree merchant account is. So don't worry if you don't understand this at this point. The next option is use integer prices. So select yes if you do not want to use decimals in the prices. Let me show you the course page. So let me just go to courses and let me find the German Intermediate course. As you can see, the price of this course is $555.55, and in our database, we are saving the prices as decimal numbers. And of course, they are shown as decimal numbers on our front end as well. However, if you set this to yes, so if you want to use integer prices and you save this, so if you save the settings, and if I refresh the page, you see that the amount was rounded down, so the decimals were rounded down, and what we see now is 555 instead of 555.55. However, in our backend, the price of the course is still 555.55. And this will actually cause problems because if you want to use integer prices, make sure that you save your course prices ending with .00. So let me just go to the courses quickly, course management, courses. So as you can see, now the price is rounded down even in the admin. So I mean, even in the index, course index. But if I go to edit, you see that it's 555.55. Now, if you want to use integer prices, just make sure to save your course with a price like this. So it should end with .00. Let me just go back to the settings actually. And the reason for doing that is that although now on the backend the customer sees 555, the actual payment gateway that will be used might still want to take 555.55 cents from the customer. And while this might not be very tragic, still your customers don't want to be cheated. So if the price is 555, then they want to pay exactly $555, not an extra 55 cents. So keep in mind that if you want to use the integer prices, then your prices should end with .00 in this demo application. As I mentioned, we save all the prices as decimal prices in our database, so even if you use these integer prices, but don't worry, it's not a problem. So there are some currencies for which it doesn't make sense to use decimal places, but our demo application can handle that. So the Braintree, the Stripe, and the PayPal integrations, they all handle this issue. So based on the currency, the correct amount will be charged from your customer, even if you're using a currency for which using decimals doesn't really make sense. I probably talked this about too much, but in a nutshell, just to sum up for you, if you want to use integer prices, then make sure that in the demo application you save the prices of the courses ending with .00. If you are not using integer prices, then they don't have to end with .00, then you can use the decimals normally or as intended. If you are selecting USD, the Euro, or the British Pound, then you can say that you want to use the currency symbol on the front end instead of the text USD, EUR, or GBP. I think it's a good practice to use the currency symbols in the demo application, so it's nicer to see the USD symbol than the text USD. However, in our backend we provided symbols only for these three currencies, so if you have a currency that is not USD, Euro, or GBP, then it doesn't matter if you select yes here, because we will always show the currency text on the checkout and on the course page as well. So as you can see, these are the currency texts. However, if you have the Euro, for example, and you want to use the symbol, then you will set this to yes. However, if you set the Euro and you want the text EUR to be written on the front end, then you should select no here. However, I will not change my settings because I think it's very nice to see the USD symbol instead of the text USD. We have another option for customizing our checkout, use comma for separating decimals. And essentially what you can do is to say that, okay, I want to use a comma for separating decimal numbers, and I want to use the period for separating the thousands. Now let me go to a course, not to this course. Actually, let me refresh it. Okay, now we are using the decimal numbers. And as you can see that by default, the period is the decimal separator. But let me select yes here. Let me save my settings. And you will see that instead of the period, there will be a comma. Yeah, exactly. So, for example, if your customers are German, you might want to set this option to yes, because in Germany, the usual way is to separate the decimals with a comma. Now, let me go to another course, which is more expensive than this one, maybe the German upper intermediate. Yeah, so as you can see, we have the German upper intermediate course here, and now we are using the comma for separating decimals and the period for separating thousands. So 12 thousands are separated by a period, and then the decimal, so these two zeros, are separated by the comma, which is the German way. However, I will set this to no, and I will save my changes. And if I go back to this fifth course, so the course with the idea of 5, and I refresh, then you will see that here will be a comma and here will be a period. Yes, exactly. So this is, I think, the usual way to show prices in dollars, for example. But of course, based on your locality, you might want to change this, and then you will have the period here and the comma here, as we had it a few seconds ago. Okay, let's go back to the settings still. And let's go to the payment gateway settings options or fields. And here you can just enable and disable your payment gateways. So we can enable the Braintree payment gateway here or disable it. And we are going to use the drop-in UI Braintree integration in this demo application, which means that we can actually provide a PayPal checkout flow within Braintree. And you can enable this PayPal checkout flow within Braintree here if you click on yes. Of course, if you don't want the PayPal checkout flow in your Braintree integration, you can always leave it at no, and then you will only have the credit card option for your Braintree integration. With the Stripe integration, we only have one field, so you can choose between enabling or disabling your Stripe the Stripe payment gateway. However, with the PayPal Smart Buttons, you can actually choose to enable or disable it. And if you disable it, then all these other options don't matter, so it doesn't matter if they are set to yes or no. However, if you are enabling your PayPal Smart Buttons, then you can disable the individual smart buttons if you would like to do that. Earlier, when I made an example checkout, or when I bought a course, with Stripe, you could see that the the PayPal Smart Buttons were enabled, and I only saw two buttons. So there was the basic PayPal button and the paying with a debit or credit card button. You cannot disable the basic PayPal button. However, if you don't want your customers to pay with a credit card through PayPal, then you can just set this option to no, and that button will not appear for your customers. You can also disable the paying with a PayPal credit option. And actually, I think that, there are some merchants who should disable these options. However, I'm not an expert in this area, but it doesn't matter because with our integration, you can choose to disable it if it is needed. And there are some other PayPal smart buttons that I don't know about. Actually, I know that the Sofort payment should be applicable to Germany. So if you don't want your German customers to pay through Sofort, then you can just disable the Sofort smart button. But of course, when we arrive at the PayPal integration section of the course, I will talk about all this later in more detail. However, basically this is what you can do here. So you can either enable or disable your PayPal smart buttons, and if you enable your smart buttons, you can say which additional PayPal smart buttons you want to disable. Or of course, if you leave everything on yes, then you will let your customers pay whichever PayPal smart button appears on their screen. There is one other thing that I want to highlight for you. So if you want to enable Braintree, and if you want to enable the PayPal checkout flow within Braintree, then you set this to yes. However, in this case, you cannot enable the PayPal smart buttons because that would cause a collision on our backend. So if I click on Save Now, my settings will not be saved. So the failure message is the PayPal smart buttons cannot be enabled if PayPal is also enabled within Braintree. So if you want to use the PayPal smart buttons, make sure that these that the PayPal workflow or checkout flow is not enabled within Braintree. Of course, if you don't enable Braintree at all, then it doesn't matter if this option is set to yes. So now I can save the checkout settings. Or the other option is that you enable Braintree and enable PayPal within Braintree. However, then you have to disable the PayPal smart buttons completely. And you can save the changes and your changes will be updated. And next, we are going to look at the routes or the URLs that you can hit in our application, and I will briefly walk you through what happens in the backend when those routes are hit. We are using the 8th version of Laravel for our demo application, and the web.php file is very important for us. So this is the file which defines which controller will take care of a specific route. As you can see, at the very beginning of this file, we are importing all the controllers that we are using in the demo application. So all these controllers have a part in our backend. Let me scroll down a bit. And let's check the routes now. So first we define these auth routes here, and these are the routes for authenticating. So these are the routes that make it possible that we can log in and log out from the application, for example. This is something that comes with Laravel, and actually I don't want to talk about the auth routes in detail because in our demo application the important thing is that you have the admin user and the member user, and you can log in and log out with those users, and you can test the payment integrations. Let me just click on this Explorer, so we will not see the files here and we will have a bit more space. So the first route that we are going to check is the index route. So you see that this route is a GET route, so it's a GET request that should come to this route, and you see that we have a / here. So basically this is the route, this is the sort of welcome route or home route, so to say. So when we have this / or when we don't have this / it doesn't matter, we will come to this welcome page. Let's go back to the web.php file, and as you can see, so this is a GET route, and the index method of the home controller is going to take care of this route. Now we also named this route, the name is home, but here this is not important for us. This is something that Laravel provides. So this is a functionality with which you can make it easier to navigate in your application. But what is important for us now is to check the index method of the home controller. So let me navigate to the home controller. You can just copy this home controller text here, press Ctrl P, and then you will have this search bar. You can paste the text, and as you can see, then you will have the search results, and the one on the top is of course what we need now, the home controller.php, which is in the app http controllers directory. So let's click on this, and we arrive at the home controller. This is a very basic controller. As you can see, it has only one method, this index. Now, in the course, I might call this index method a function or an action, but, don't you worry about it. You can call it method, index, or function. We are talking about the same thing. As you can see, the only thing that this index method does is returns a view, the home view. And the home view, if I just hover over it, you see that this file is actually in the Laravel payment starter /resources/views/home.blade.php file. You don't see home.blade.php, but please trust me. If I copy this, press Ctrl P, paste it, then you see that we have a home.blade.php file here in the resources/views directory. So in Laravel, this is how you can return a view. We have the view helper here, and we can just say that, okay, return the home view, and then Laravel will automatically know that we want the home.blade.php file returned in the resources or under resources and views. Okay, let me click on home.blade.php. So as you can see, this is a very simple view. We have a header here, welcome, and then we have a lot of p tags. And oh, actually we forgot about artisan here. So of course you have to run the php artisan command. So let me just quickly correct this one. But as you can see, this is really some raw HTML, and it's nothing extra. Now let's go back to our web.php file. And the next routes are the checkout and the payment routes. Now you see that we have some get routes and some post routes here. And actually I will not talk about these routes because I will talk about these routes later in the course when we are integrating the 3 payment gateways. So it's just, that just doesn't make sense to duplicate this. And actually when we start integrating the payment gateways, and when you will see what is happening, then it is sensible to look at the checkout controller and the braintree controller, Stripe controller, and so on, because at this point of the course it would just not make sense to go through these controllers in detail. However, there are 4 more routes that I want to go over in this video. So there is the privacy route and the terms route. We have a page controller for these 2 routes. There is a privacy method and a terms method. So let's just go to the page controller. So copy it, copy the name, Ctrl P, paste, and as you can see, we found our page controller. And in the privacy method, we are just returning the privacy view, and in the terms method, we are just returning the terms view. So let's check these 2 views. As you can see, this is even simpler than the home view because this is just a p tag with some placeholder privacy policy. Of course, if you want to build upon our demo application, you can build a proper privacy blade file here. And the terms should be the same. So the terms, as you can see, we have a terms.blade.php file in the resources/views directory. So this is the same. We just have a placeholder for the terms and conditions. But let's go back now to the web.php file. And let's check these last 2 routes for this video at least. As you can see, we have a front-end course controller. Let's find it. And first, let's check actually the show method in this controller. So this show method takes care of all the requests that are coming in through the courses/course ID URL. Now, of course, this course ID is just a placeholder, so this actually has to be a valid ID of an ID of a valid course that we have in our backend. So let's go to the front-end course controller and let's check the show method. Let me just navigate to this URL so you will see better what is happening. Actually, this is the URL. Let me go to courses, or it was one of the URLs, but I would like to go to this German pre-intermediate course. Okay, so as you can see, Laravel payment starter /course/the course ID. So this request or this route is picked up by the show method of the front-end course controller. And in this controller, we are getting the authenticated user, if there is one. We are getting the course, and we are getting the course based on this course ID. So don't forget that the course ID comes from the URL. Now, if you don't find a course, so if it's not a valid course ID, then we will abort with a 403 message. The course has not been found. And I can show you that there is no course with the ID of 33, for example. So yeah, exactly. We are aborting with a 403 message. However, if the course ID is valid and we found a course in our database, then we have this flag, user bought course. Now, if the user already bought a course, then the user should see this green text that you have access to this course. Otherwise, the user should see how much the price of the course, and the buy now button, so the user could buy the course. Now, if the authenticated user is null, so if there is no authenticated user, then of course, we don't do anything with this flag because the user could not have bought this course because we just cannot check it because the user is not logged in. However, if the user is logged in, then we will instantiate this user course variable, and we have a table in our database, user courses, and this is the table where we associate a user ID with a course ID. So if the user with the ID 3, for example, has access to the course with the ID 3, then we should have a row in the user courses table. Now, as you can see, we are checking for the ID of the authenticated user, if there is an authenticated user, and we are checking for the course ID. And if indeed there is a row in the user courses table with the user ID and with the course ID, then we are setting this flag to true, and if this flag is true, then this text will appear on the front end instead of the course price and the buy now button. We have one more thing here. We have a currency variable, and we have a currency helper class and a get currency string method inside that class. So let me search for this currency helper.php file. It's in the app helpers directory. And we have a get currency string method. And what happens is that we are getting our settings. We are getting the currency from our settings. And then we sort of have this adjusted currency text variable where we just concatenate a space to the currency text. So for example, now USD is set in my settings. So in this adjusted currency text variable, I would have USD with a space in it. And of course, the currency text is USD without a space. Now, if in the settings we want to use the currency symbol, and the currency that we set is either USD, Euro, or British Pound, then we are getting the currency from our currencies table. And if we found the currency, so if this currency data variable is not null, which should not be null, then we save the symbol of the currency to the adjusted currency text variable, and we are returning the adjusted currency text variable. Now, of course, if we are not using the currency symbol, we are just simply returning the adjusted currency text variable, so is the currency text with a space in it. But let me go to the database and let me show you the currencies table. So here we are. As you can see, most currencies don't have a symbol. Let me just show 250 currencies. I don't think we have that many, actually. And as you can see that for the euro, we have the euro symbol. For the Great British pounds, we have the pound symbol. And for USD, yes, we have this USD symbol. So you see that we have this symbol column here. So let's get back to our currency helper. So if we are using the currency symbol and the currency is USD, euro, and Great British pound, we are getting this currency row from our currencies table. And then we are, and if we found a row, which we should have found, then we are using the symbol that is in the symbol column of our database table. But of course, if we are not using a symbol, then we want to return the adjusted currency text. So we want to return USD with a space, because I don't think that it looks good if the price of the course is, for example, 123 USDs, then I don't think this looks good. But if we have USD space 123, then it looks much better, I think. Let's get back now to the front-end course controller. So we are returning the course.blade.php file back. However, notice that we have this compact function. We are returning the course variable. So this course text actually corresponds to this course PHP variable. We don't have to use the $sign here. Actually, we shouldn't use the $sign here in the compact method. And we have the user bot course variable and the currency variable. Now, of course, all these variables will be used in our view. Now, let me show you the course.blade.php file. So course.blade.php is here in the resources views directory. As you can see in this header, we are echoing out the title of the course. Now this is a Blade directive, it's a Blade helper. This is basically for echoing out the title property of the course. And yeah, as you can see, we show the course image as well. We are echoing out the course description, but what is important is that we are using our currency variable here in a Blade directive. But of course, we only have these divs if the user hasn't already bought the course. So let's say that the user hasn't already bought the course, so we have this currency echoed out. And as you can see in our Blade file, we are using the currency helper as well, and we are setting the price format, and we are passing the price of the course to this variable. Now let's go back to the currency helper. I will not tell you in detail about this get set price format method, because later in the course actually I will tell you about it in more detail. But actually this is the method that formats our price on the front end nicely. So I already showed you if you want to use the comma as a decimal separator, then the price will be formatted differently on the front end, and you know, this is the method that takes care of that. Let's go back to the course view or the course.blade.php file. As you can see, if the user hasn't bought the course, so this exclamation mark means that this user bought course variable is false. So in case this variable is false, then we will show these divs. Then this is actually the buy button, so the buy now button, and we are using the route helper in Laravel, and we are navigating the user to the checkout route, and we give as a parameter the course slug. But you know, later on we will talk more about the checkout route when we integrate the payment gateways. Now, what is important is that if the user bought the course, so if this variable is not false, then we are arriving at the else in the Blade file, and notice that we are using the Blade directives if and else here. Then we are showing this message that you saw a few times already. You have access to this course. So you know, this is the show method of the front-end course controller. And now we can look at the index method. So let's go back to the web.php file. And as you can see, we have a route courses, which is also a get route, and the index method of the front-end course controller takes care of that route. And here what we do is we get all our courses in and we order them by ID ascending, and we use the paginate function. So we paginate at every 5 cores, we return the courses.blade.php file, and of course we are returning the courses variable. Now let's check this courses.blade.php. Okay, here we are. And this is the important part of the Blade file here, because we are using the Blade for each directive, and we are looping through all the courses, and we are looping through each course in a course temporary variable. And as you can see, we show the course image here. So we save all the course images to public upload images, and then we only save the name of the image file into the database, so we concatenate the name of the image file to this path. And then we have the routes for showing the course. So as you can see that these routes are the same, so we are going to the courses show routes, and we pass the course ID to these routes. However, there is a button that the user can click on to go to a specific course, or there is or the user can click on the course title, and it will also take the user to the course show page. Let's check this on the front end. So we have courses, yes, and it doesn't matter if I click on the course title or if I click on this go to course button, I will arrive at the same page. Now let's get back to the web.php file. I'm going to show you the backend of the member dashboard front-end page. So let me just go to the URL. So Laravel payment starter /member/dashboard. So this is the page that we are going to talk about. In our demo application, the admin also reaches this member dashboard URL. This is not a bug. This is how we designed this demo application for the sake of simplicity. So the admin also has sort of a member dashboard. Let's go to the web.php file. Now, as you can see, we have this dashboard route here. However, the URL is member/dashboard. However, you see that we have defined a route group before we used this anonymous function and before we defined this dashboard route. So, you know, a route group should be defined for more routes. However, maybe we want to build upon this demo application later, and we might add other routes for the member. So this is not an accident that we have a route group defined here. But what is a route group exactly? So if you define a route group, it means that these options will be applied to all the routes that you define here in this anonymous function. So, for example, we have the auth middleware defined, and the auth middleware means that only logged in user can reach the route that we are defining here. Now, if we didn't define this route group, then we could still apply the auth middleware to this route, and there is actually an example for this. Yes, for the checkout, we have this auth middleware manually applied here. Now let me scroll to the bottom again. So if we had like 10 more routes here, not just this one route, then the auth middleware would be applied to all these routes. So although we don't have this arrow middleware auth here at the end of this route defined, because we defined it in the route group, then the auth middleware is applicable to this dashboard route as well. So it's just a simpler way to sort of define your routes. But still, you might be wondering that why we have dashboard here when on the front end we have member/dashboard. Of course, it's not accidental, because we have the prefix key defined, and the value of the prefix key is member. So it means that all the routes that are defined within this function should start with member/. So this is what the prefix key does. And we have another key defined, the S key, member dot, and this is important. For example, when we want to provide a link to the member dashboard inside our application, let me go to the dashboard blade file. I'm a bit rushing ahead, but what I want to show you is that we have this route helper. So for example, here we are creating a link to the courses show route in the on our member dashboard, And actually the courses show route should be this one. Let me just find it for you quickly. So yeah, so we have this courses show route, and this is the route that we looked at. So, you know, showing a specific course. Let's go back to this dashboard blade file. So there is the route helper, and we say that, okay, we have a route that is named courses show, and it needs a course ID as a parameter. And that course ID is this one here. I will show you that indeed we need a course ID for this route. So this course ID is passed to this named route in our route helper. You might be wondering why I'm talking about this course show route here, and the reason is that we also named our dashboard route. So if you look at this, we named it dash. So if I use the route helper and put here dash, it will not generate the correct link because we defined that this route, that although this route is named dash, then it has to be referred to as member.dash in our route helper. Otherwise, then we will not be able to generate a link to this dashboard. So this is why you should use route groups if you have more routes. Now, this is only one route, so it doesn't make much sense actually. But as you can see, we also have an admin route group. So it is here, and we have a lot of routes here. So it actually makes a lot of sense to create a route group here. Now, let's just move on from the discussion of the route groups and let's go to the member dashboard controller. So the index method of the member dashboard controller is going to take care of the member/dashboard request. I already have it open here. Let me just close this. And the controller and the method is very simple actually. So we are getting the authenticated user. Don't forget that we have a middleware on this route. So if someone gets this route, I mean, you know, if for someone the page loads, then it means that that person is logged in. So we should get an authenticated user here. It should not be null. Then we are getting the orders of the user. So, you know, the user ID column in the orders table should match the ID of our authenticated user. And we are ordering the orders in a descending fashion by ID, and we are paginating them. And we also get the currency from the currency helper. It is the same sort of workflow as was with the course show page. So we will not check this currency helper file now. And as you can see, I'm returning the member.dashboard view. So it means that there is a dashboard.blade.php file under resources views member. So you can see actually that my IntelliSense finds this file in this window that pops up for us. And in the compact method, of course, I'm passing on the auth user, the orders variable, and the currency variable. So let's check the dashboard.blade.php file. I already opened it here. Let's check the front end actually. So as you can see, this is just a basic table. And we are defining the headers here. And we are just looping through the orders as an order. And we just echo out the title of the purchase course. We will echo out the currency, and we are formatting the price nicely. So this is the price of the order, and we are calling the getSetPriceFormat method of the currency helper. We are using Carbon to format the created at column of the orders table. So as you can see, we just want to show the user the year, month, and day in a nice format. So this is why we are using Carbon. And here we are declaring a route, or sort of generating a route. We are using the blade helpers, so these double curly braces, and we are echoing out the route. So we are using the route helper courses.show, and we are passing on the ID of the purchased course. And if the user clicks on the go to course button, then as you can see on the bottom left corner, then the correct route is generated. Let me click on it. And yes, indeed, we are at the course show page. So this actually sums up the member dashboard page from the backend side. Let's check now what happens in the backend when we hit the admin dashboard or the admin pages. Now, as you can see, we have a route group defined for our admin routes. And as I told you, the as key refers to how we can refer to our named routes inside the route helper. So for example, if we want to refer to this courses route, then we have to refer to admin.courses. We have an admin value defined for the prefix key, which makes sure that if the user hits the courses route, it's not enough because the correct route should be admin.courses in order to get to the admin dashboard. So I can show you that actually if we just have courses here, then we have the list of courses, which is actually a different route. But if we are hitting the admin/courses route, because the prefix in the route group is admin, then we are actually hitting this course index page. And we also have two middlewares defined. One is the auth middleware, so the user has to be authenticated, and another middleware, admin middleware, so the user has to be an admin as well. Don't forget that what we define here apply to all the routes that we define here inside this anonymous function. So all these routes can be opened or can be loaded. These pages can be loaded only if the user is authenticated and if it's an admin. If the user is not authenticated, then the auth middleware will prevent the user from loading the page. However, if the user is authenticated but not an admin, then the admin middleware will catch this and the page will not load. As you can see, we have many routes here. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to talk to you about the dashboard route, so the admin.dashboard route, and I will also walk you through the courses routes, so the routes here. However, I'm not going to talk about the Braintree, Stripe, PayPal settings route and the users route and the orders route, because as you can see, then these routes all have a GET request and then they have a PUT request. So we are not all of them have PUT requests. Some of them have the delete request. As you can see that we got the users, so I can show you the users index page, and we can delete the users. So this is the delete request. And then we have the PUT request, for example, with the PayPal. So in the payment settings, PayPal. So when we save all this data, then we are hitting the PUT request. So I won't talk about these routes because in the courses, when I'm talking about the courses, basically I will tell you everything that you need to know about these requests. So as you can see in the courses, among the courses route, we have a PUT request and also a delete request. But let's start with the dashboard controller, okay? So we are not searching for the member dashboard controller, but the dashboard controller that is inside the admin folder. And we have only an index method, of course. Now what we do is we get the number of users from the database, the number of courses from the database, the currency, then the sum value of the price column of the orders table. And we save this in the sales total sum variable, and then this sales total sum variable is passed on to the currency helper, to the getSetPrice format method. So in this same variable, we're going to save the price in a nice format. Now, one more thing, we will also get the total number of orders, and we will save it into the order sum variable. And as you can see, we also define a meta title for this dashboard, and in the compact method we are passing on all these variables here, and we are returning the dashboard.blade.php file that is under the admin, or that is inside the admin folder, so resources views admin. Okay, so let me search for this dashboard.blade.php. And yeah, this is the last one here, resources views admins. All right. So here we are saying welcome to your dashboard, of course. And then what is interesting for us is that we have these text members, and then we have the user count, so the member count, so to say. Then we have the text courses and course count. Let me just quickly go to the dashboard. So you see members and the count under it, courses and the count under it, total sales and the amount of total sales and the number of total orders as well. So as you can see, there is the total sales, and then we are using the blade directive for the currency, and then we are using the blade directive for the sales total sum. Now, we are not using the currency helper here inside the blade file because we already used it in our controller here. So we already set the price format here in our controller. And yes, and then we have the total orders, and then we have this variable which contains the number of total orders. So this is all about the dashboard. There's not much else going on here. So let's just go to the courses routes, and why don't we start with the add new course route? So admin/courses.create. Let's go to the web.php file, and yes, indeed this is a get route, so courses.create, but don't forget that we have a prefix, so this is actually admin/courses/create, and this route is picked up by the create method of the course controller. So let's just navigate to our course controller, this one. Let me just close these dashboard files, and yes, we have the create method here. So here we just defined a meta title, and we are passing this meta title inside the compact function to our create.blade.php file, and of course this file is inside the admin/courses folder. So let's just find this file. Yes, resources views admin/courses, so this is our view. In this view, of course, we have a header, a new course, and of course we have a form. So this form goes to the admin.courses.store route, and this is a post route. So let's check. Indeed, we have a post route courses, and this is named courses.store, but don't forget that we have an S key defined, so the name of the route when we refer to it in our create.blade.php file has to be admin.courses.store, and indeed this is a post route. So actually this is the route through which we are going to store or save a new course. And here you see that we have a course title, and then we have an input field for the course title. The name is course title, so this is the key that we will through which we can get our provided course title in our request object, but we will talk about it when we talk about the store method in the course controller. And what is important is that we have this p tag here, so if there are any errors, we will show the errors here, but we will talk about this a bit later as well. And the important thing is that we have this value here, and we are using the old helper of Laravel, and we are referring to this course title key here. A bit later I will make an unsuccessful attempt at saving a new course, and then I will talk about this old helper here, and we will also talk about later about these errors. But let's just move on with our view now. So we have a course description section in our view, and as you can see, we refer to it as short description. We are using the old helper, and of course we are catching the errors if there is something preventing from saving this course. Now we have, of course, a section for uploading a course image. And as you can see, the key is cover image here. We have a JavaScript function for showing the file name after selecting the file. And of course, we will catch any errors that prevents saving the course because of the cover image. And we have a course price, and of course this is a number field, sort of a decimal field, and the key here is course price. We are catching the errors here, and yeah, we are using the old helper as well. And then of course we have a submit button that submits our form. So now I want to show you how a course is saved. So we have this store route. So we have the store method inside the course controller, and this is going to take care of the request. So as you can see, I instantiate a validator object. So I'm using the validator class of Laravel and the make method, and I'm giving all the request data to it. So don't forget that this store route, it has a request object. It's here. And as you can see, these are the keys or the name tags that were defined in our view. So course title, short description, cover image, and course price. So the course title is a required field. It has to be a string, not longer than 1,000 characters, and it has to be a unique title in our courses table. So we have this unique validation criterion. We have the courses table and we have the title column. So the course title that we provide must be unique. So it must not have, there must not be another title in the title column of the courses table. The short description is nullable, which means that it doesn't have to be provided. However, if it is provided, it has to be a string and it cannot be longer than 10,000 characters. The cover image is nullable. However, if it's provided, then it has to be an image, and it has to be a JPEG, JPG, PNG, or WebP image, and it cannot be bigger than 1,999 kilobytes. So it has to be under 2 megabytes. Now the course price is required. It is a numeric field, and it cannot be lower than 1. So obviously, a course should. The course price should be much bigger than the number 1, but for our validation, it suffices if we just define that, okay, it cannot be lower than 1, the value that is provided. Now we have this validator object instantiated, so to say, and then we can call the fails method on it. And if it is true, so if it returns true, it means that the validation failed at some point. And we are redirecting back to our courses create page with errors, and we pass the validator object to this with errors function, and this is how we will be able to extract the errors into our view. And we also return back with input. So it means that if the user, for example, chooses a course title that is not unique, we redirect back the user because the validation failed. However, we redirect the user back with the input, and for example, the short description will be populated in the short description field, so the user doesn't have to provide all the details again after a failed validation. Actually, I want to go ahead and fail a validation now. So what I will do, I will not provide a course title, but I will provide a test description for this course. Yep. And the price of the course will be 111. And when I click on save, I'm going to fail the validation because the course title was not provided. Yep. So the course title field is required. And let's go back to our view now. So first in the controller, you see that we hit this line. So we redirect it back with errors and with the input. And as you can see, my input is still here, so the test description, and the course price is still here, so I don't have to give them again after a failed validation. Now let's go back to the view. You see that we have this errors object. So after the failed validation, we have this errors object, and we are calling the first method on it, and we are checking if there is any errors that are associated with the course title. And of course there is, because the course title is required, and because there is an error associated with the course title field, then we are echoing out this error here in this P. So this P is what you see here. All right, but what is more important is this old helper, and let me go to the short description. So what the old helper does in Laravel is that after a failed validation, the old helper should find a value for the short description. And this value is the value that was submitted earlier. So If there was a failed validation and we are using the old helper, then the old helper finds the key or finds the info under the short description key, and it will be populated to our text area here. So as you can see, I don't have to provide again the text description. Now let's go back to our controller and let's see what happens if we don't fail a validation. If we are not failing a validation, we are instantiating a new course here, and the title of the course will come from the request, so the course title field. Then we are going to create a slug for the course. So we have a slug column in our database, and we are using the string class, Laravel string class, and we are calling the slug method, and we are passing the course title to it, so it will create the course slug for us. Of course, we are saving the description for the course. It will be, of course, the short description field. And we are, of course, saving the price for the course, and then we save our course into the database. It might happen that we want to provide a cover image to the course, and we can check if there is a file with the hasFile function. So on the request object, we call the hasFile method and then pass cover image here because we have the cover image field on our view. So if there is a file in the cover image field, then we are saving it. We are saving the extension. We have to call the getClientOriginal extension method on the file itself. Then we are saving the original file name. So the original file name, we are using the pathinfo PHP function here. And we are the first parameter is going to be the file, the getClientOriginalName method called upon the file, and then we have the pathinfo file name constant. So basically, what we have here, original file name, is the file name without the extension. Then we have a file name to store variable. So we are concatenating the original file name, an underscore, the course ID, and then we concatenate a period, and we concatenate the extension of the file. Don't forget that we saved the extension of the file in the extension variable earlier. And the reason why we are doing this is that there will be no collision in the course file name. So maybe someone wants to upload an image named English course for the course ID 1, and maybe the person wants to upload the same image for the course with the ID of 2. However, if we didn't do this, if we just saved the name of the file that the user provided, then we would rewrite the file. However, in this case, if we are providing a unique name for each and every file, and if we make sure that it's unique because we are concatenating the course ID and every course has a unique ID, so then it doesn't matter how many course images the user uploads, they will never be rewritten because all of them will have a unique name. We also have a destination path variable. We're using Laravel's public path helper, and this is going to give us the path to the public folder, and then we concatenate uploads images here. So we are going to save all the course cover images to this public/uploads/images folder. We have this upload is successful variable, which is actually a flag. So we are calling the move method on our file, and the first parameter is the destination path, and the second parameter is the file name to store, so the unique file name. And this actually should be a success. So we should this flag should be true. And in case this flag is true, then we are saving the file name to the image column of our newly created course, and we are saving our course again. So don't forget that we save the course here. However, if there is a cover image, then we have to provide the image. So we have to fill in the image cell or the cell column for our course, and we have to resave it. So with this save, we didn't do anything with the files, but with this save, we are saving the name of the file into our database. You might be wondering actually why I have this course save here, and then I check for the cover image. And the reason is very simple. So after I save this course, then this course is going to have an ID, and I can get this ID of the saved course here, and I can concatenate it to the file name, and then I can just simply resave the course. Now there is actually another method, different methods for getting the ID that should be used for this course. However, I think it's much safer to actually save the course, and we still have the course object, and after we save the course we will have access to the ID of the course, and this is the actual ID that was saved into the database. So if everything is fine and we reach this part of the code, then we are getting redirected to the admin.courses route, which is going to be actually this courses index page, with a success message. So this is going to be a session variable, success message session variable, and the text, or its content, will be the course has been successfully created. Now let's see this in action actually. So let me just create a test course January. I think I already reseeded the database, so this should be unique. But you know what, let it be test course March. And description will be just description. The price will be 101. And I save this course, and yes, indeed, we are redirected to the index page, so the course index page, and we have this message shown to us: the course has been successfully created. Let's continue with our course routes, and let's check what happens if I want to edit a course. So I'm going to click on edit here on the course index page, and I'm directed to the admin/courses/course ID/edit route. As you can see, the course data is already populated, so I have the course title, I have the description of the course, and I have the price of the course, and I can upload a new cover image for the course if I want to. Now let's check what takes care of this admin/courses route. So in the web.php file, you see that we have courses/course ID/edit. So this is our route. Don't forget that we have the admin prefix, so this route is actually admin/courses/course ID/edit. This is a get route, and the edit method of the course controller takes care of this request. So let's go to the course controller, which is already open for me, and here is the edit method. That is the course ID that we get from the URL. So we try to get the course, and if we do not find the course, then we are aborting because the course has not been found. Otherwise, we are defining a meta title, and we are returning the edit.blade.php file that is inside the admin and courses folder. And then we are using a compact method, so we will pass the meta title variable and the course variable to our view. So let's check this edit.blade.php file, and this is it. I already opened it. As you can see, it's in the resources views admin courses directory. So we have here a header, edit course, and we of course have a form. Now I actually don't know if I talked about this in the previous videos when we created a course, but this CSRF is a Blade directive. So at CSRF, this is a Blade directive that is going to make a hidden token field for us, _token field, which will protect us from the cross-site request forgery attacks. Let me just show it to you. So I come back to the course edit page, press F12. So I get the Chrome developer tools, and I will go to elements. And let's find an element that is part of the form. Yeah, this one. And actually here you see that we have a hidden input field, and the name is _token, and we have the session token here. So this is the Laravel way for protecting ourselves from CSRF tokens, sorry, not from the tokens, but from the cross-site request forgery attacks. Okay, let's get back to our controller. So we have the same for basically that we had for creating a course. Of course, we are submitting this form to a different route, to the courses.update route, and we are passing on the course ID to this route. This form, the method of the form is post. However, notice that we are using the Blade @method directive to simulate a put request. Now, a put request is made when we want to update a resource. So our resource is, of course, a course. And as you can see in the web.php file, we have a put route defined, courses/course ID, and this is actually where we submit our form. Now, this could be actually a post route, so we would not need to make this a put route. So we could have post here instead of put, and we could have we could just delete this directive. But I wanted to show you how you can simulate a put request in Laravel, and I think actually it's good to follow this convention. So if you are updating a resource, I think it's better to simulate a put request. Now the form itself is almost the same as in the create view, so I'm not going to talk about that much. However, I want to show you that that in case of the old helper, so we are using the old helper for the same field, so for example for the course title or for the course short description. Now in the old helper, now we have two parameters. We have the course title, and then we have the title property of the course that we passed on to this view. But let me just go to the short description, because I think it's better if I show you an example based on the course description. So we have the old helper, and the first parameter is the short description, so actually what was written to this field, and the second parameter is the description of the course that we passed on to the view. Now, so we are using the old helper here. And you remember that in the create view, we didn't have this second parameter defined. And because when we first load the page and want to create a course, then nothing was submitted, then this old helper will return null. However, however, you remember that I failed the validation, and then the short description was populated automatically, so I didn't have to write a short description again in the field, because then the old helper could extract a value from the short description that was submitted earlier. Now, in the edit view, we have the second parameter, because if we are hitting this route for the first time, so if we hasn't had the opportunity to submit anything, then the old helper will take the value from the second parameter. So as you can see, there is the course description. It is just description, so obviously it's not a true description. But when I hit the course edit route for the first time, so it's not after a failed validation, then you see that this field is populated. However, if I fail a validation now, for example, I will delete the course title and I will try to save this course. Now you see that the course title field is required. However, the description is still here. But let me just change this to description 222. So I will try to resave this. I'm going to fail again. Okay, I failed again. However, you see that now the old helper didn't take, after the failed validation, the old helper didn't take the second parameter, so the description of the course that is saved into the database, but it took what we submitted under the key short description. So to sum up, if you're using the old helper with two parameters, then at a fresh request, so when you hit the route for the first time, then the second parameter is used. However, after every failed update request, the first parameter is used. But let's check now the update method of the course controller. So as you can see, we are trying to find the course based on the course ID that was submitted to this route. And we have the find or fail method in Laravel. We are calling it on our course model. And basically, if we don't find a course, then we will show a 404 message. But of course, we should be able to find our course. And if we find a course, then we have a validator object instantiated. We are providing all the request data to it. I mean, obviously, we are calling the make method of the validator class. And then, as you can see, we have the course title, short description, cover image, and course price fields validated. Now, the validation is almost the same as in the case of creating the course. The only difference comes from this validation criterion. Here we are saying that the title of the course in the courses table, it has to be unique. So we have the title column in the courses table, and the title that we want to submit has to be unique. However, we are having a comma after this title, and we are concatenating the course ID to it, which means that the title on the courses table has to be unique except in the case of this ID. Now, if we didn't have this here, if we didn't concatenate the course ID to this validation criterion, then it would mean that we would fail the validation because the course title is already saved into the database and we have to provide a new one. But when we are updating a resource, then we have to say or have to define that, okay, the course title has to be unique, but if it is not unique, but the course ID is the same as the ID of the resource that we want to update, then it's not a problem. So obviously the user should not be, I will just refresh this page. So obviously the user should not be forced to change the course title. So this is why we have this validation criterion like this. Now, if the validator fails, so if this returns false, or sorry, if this returns true because it failed, then we are getting redirected back, of course, with the errors provided by the validator and with the input provided by the user. Otherwise, as you can see, we are just sort of updating our course here with the submitted data. And of course, again, we have to check if a cover image was uploaded. Now, if a cover image was uploaded, then we basically do the same as we did when creating the course. However, and of course, again, we have to check if the user uploaded a cover image. If the user uploads a cover image, then we are repeating our code that we saw in our store method. So it's the same code that you saw earlier. However, now we are having some extra code here. So what we are doing is we are using the file exists function of PHP, and we want to see if a file exists in the destination path under the name that is saved into the image column of our course resource. Now the file exists function can return true even if it's not a file, but if it's a folder that we found. So just to be safe, we have another variable, the isFile variable, which uses the isFile PHP function. So we are sort of asking as well if the resource is a file. Now actually this whole thing should work even if you are only using this line. So even if I delete this line, it should not be a problem, but I just wanted to show you how to think about searching for files when you want to save a new file into the database. So what I have is I have two variables. So with file exists, I check if the file actually exists, but at this point, I'm not sure if it's a folder or if it's a file. But with this file method, I check that, okay, if at this path, an actual file exists. And so if these both are true, so if a file exists and it is an actual file, then I want to delete or unlink the file under this destination. And then the rest is the same as we had in the create method, the store method. So we are just moving or uploading the file to the destination path, and we are saving the file name into the image column of the course. And finally, we are saving the course. Now notice that here I'm saving the course right before we are redirecting to the admin index page. And the reason is that we already have a course saved into the database, so I can get the course ID. I don't have to save anything here because this course course object already has an ID property. And if everything fine, we are redirected back to the admin courses page, so the index page, with a success message. The course has been successfully updated, and let me show you that it is indeed what you will see. So I will just say description 222. Let's make the price higher. So I'm saving the course, and yes, indeed, as you can see, the price is now $200, and the description was changed as well. However, the course title was not changed, but we see the success message. The course has been successfully updated. Let's see what happens on the backend when we delete a course. It's necessary to check this index.blade.php file. As you can see, it's under the resources views admins courses directory. And we are passing collection of courses to this view, of course, and then this nice table is created for us. Now, as you can see, the table headers are here and the table rows are here. So what is interesting for us is actually this delete action. Sorry, it starts from here. So you see that this is the delete text, and then we are having an anchor tag here. So what happens here, as you can see that we are not linking to anywhere, so we have this hashtag in the anchor tag for the href attribute. However, we have an onClick event defined, and what we are doing is we are getting the element by ID, and the ID is delete dash, yes, dash, sorry, so delete dash, and the course ID is echoed out, and oh, sorry, and we are submitting. So actually this delete dash course ID is a form, and after we submit the form we are returning false, so which means that we don't want to do anything with this anchor tag. But what is important for us is to know what we are submitting here on when we click on onClick. So as you can see, with each and every course we not just define this anchor tag here, but we are defining a form right next to it. And this form is routed to the admin.courses.destroy route, and we pass the course ID to this route. And as you can see, the ID of this form is delete-course ID. And this is a post form. We are not displaying the form in the browser. However, we are using two Blade directives. One is the CSRF for or against cross-site request forgery attacks, and the other one is the @method directive, and we are simulating a delete request when we submit this form. Now check our web.php file, and indeed you will see that we have a delete route defined, courses/course ID, so this is admin/courses/course ID, and the destroy method of the course controller is taking care of this request. So once again, you see that the ID is delete-course ID. So for example, if we want to delete a course with the ID of 3, then the ID will be delete-3. And when we are clicking on the delete text here, then we are having this onClick event. So we are getting the form with the ID of delete-3, and we are submitting it. And this is how we are starting the whole deletion process. Now let's check the destroy method in the course controller. It's right here. So we are trying to find a course based on the ID that came from the request. So actually it came from the route, as you can see. Doesn't matter, so we have it as a parameter in our destroy function, and we are trying to get the course. Now, if we don't find the course, obviously we are redirecting back with a failure message variable that says the course with the following ID could not be deleted, and then we concatenate the course ID. However, if we have found the course successfully, then we are going on. And what we are doing is that we get the rows from the user courses table, where the course ID table corresponds to the course ID that we want to delete. And we are looping through these rows, and we are deleting each and every row. As I mentioned earlier in the course, into this user course model or user courses table, we are saving the associations between a user and the courses. So if a user buys a course, then it is saved into this table. However, if we are deleting a course, of course, we want to delete all the rows that are associated with the course that we are going to delete. So then it doesn't matter if a user bought it or didn't, then we want to delete all these rows because we don't want to show the user false data that, yeah, there is a course that was deleted, so you had access to it, but not anymore. So obviously, when we delete a course, we also have to think about the associations between the users and the courses. After we deleted all the associations, we are deleting the course itself, and we are returning back with a success message that the course with the following ID has been successfully deleted. Oops, sorry. And of course, we are concatenating the course ID here. Now, there is one shortcoming of this destroy method, and it is actually that we are not deleting the course image, so the uploaded course images. Now, for the demo application, it's fine. I think maybe later in an update we can extend this destroy method. So just keep in mind, if you create a course and upload a cover image for it, and then later you delete the course, then you have to manually remove the image from the demo application if it bothers you. It's time to check the admin/courses route, and after we check this route, actually we have concluded then our discussion about routes and the admin backend. Let's go to the web.php file, and you can see that when we are hitting the admin/courses route, then it is a GET request, of course, and the index method of the course controller takes care of this request. So let's navigate to the course controller, and here we are in the index method. We are defining a meta title. We are getting all the courses. We are ordering them by ID in a descending fashion, and we also paginate them. And we are getting the currency as well. We are passing all these variables to the index.blade.php view, which is under the admin/courses folder. So let's check this file, this view. I'm here, so you can see that it is inside the resources views admin courses folder, and it is the index.blade.php file. Now, I don't know if I talked about it in the course, but now I just want to tell you that if you are calling the links method on your collection that you passed onto the view, then the pagination links will be created for you automatically. So this is where I call the links method. So you can imagine that line of code in the backend here. And then this nice pagination is made for us automatically, as you can see. But let's get back to the index view. And if I scroll up, you see that this is a basic table. So we have the table headers here, and then we are looping through the courses, and each course will be saved into the course temporary variable. So we are creating table rows, of course, for each course, and then we are creating a table data for each cells. So the course ID is echoed out, then the course title, then the course description is echoed out. However, we are using the limit method of this str class, and we say that, okay, take only 20 characters from the course description and concatenate the 3 dots to it. So this is how we are using this limit method here. We are echoing the currency here, and then we are using the currency helper. So we format the course price in a nice way. Then we are using also carbon because we want to format the created at column of the given course, and we want to provide or show this format to the user. As you can see here, it's a very nice format. And then we have the actions defined here in this TD. Now, I already talked about the delete action. And as you can see, then we have the view action. This is the last one, actually. And we are directing the user to the course's show page, and we are passing on the course ID to this route. And we have an edit action as well. So we have this anchor tag, and this is this directs the users to the admin courses edit route, and of course we are providing the course ID to the user. So basically this is it, what we have to know about the index view of the course admin dashboard. Now, I mentioned, I think earlier, that of course we have some more routes in this admin route group. However, I will not talk about them. And the reason I won't talk about them is that because after you watched all these about the course routes, it should be obvious what is happening here. So, for example, we have a braintree controller when we have an index method, and we can update our braintree credentials, and there is nothing new in it. So actually it's more simpler than what we did with updating a course. And of course we can update Stripe, we can update PayPal, and you see that these payment gateways have a get route and a put route. So this should be really straightforward at this point. Now, we also have a users routes and orders route, and you see that we have a get route where we get the index page of the user, similar to the course index page that I talked about in this video. And of course, we have an orders index page as well, and we can delete a user or delete an order, and the same thing happens as happened in case of courses. Now, there are also settings routes, so there is They're the payment settings. And the reason why I won't talk about the payment settings now is that I'm going to talk about them later in the course. So when we are integrating Braintree, Stripe, and PayPal, these payment settings will come back to us, and I will talk about them in more detail when we get there. And I just don't see the point in talking about them at this point of the course. I think it is much more sensible to come back to these routes once we are starting integrating our payment gateways.